Thank you for joining us, everyone, for another episode of Live by Heart
Today
with your hosts, Dawn Spiegelberg and Wendy R. Wolf.
Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart show today. I'm Dawn Spiegelberg. This is a show designed to help you navigate uncertainty, change, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science. We'll talk a little bit about how our body works. We'll talk a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation. Our theme for today is stillness. And with me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host introducing Wendy, a professional transformational facilitator and author of Being the Love You Want Rocks. Wendy, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Dawn. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
What I've been saying lately is mostly awesome. I really, truly am wonderful. I know the world is going through a lot, and so am I. And from the inside, where I like to live on the inside out, it's just wonderful in here.
I'm so glad to hear it. And I think you're right. Not everyone has the ability to say that they're actually wonderful, especially on the inside, where our nervous system is constantly ramped up because of the external threat that we're experiencing. So based on today's show theme, which is stillness, how do we help people and show them how to shift out of a nervous system response that is very normal? We're designed to respond to things that are perceived by our minds and brains as a threat. So how do we become still? How do you practice stillness?
Well, I want to talk more about stillness in a moment, but it's very funny to me because just this morning I was working with someone about this exact thing, about working with her nervous system to allow rest, to allow stillness, to allow allowing that everything's okay, because a lot of experiences that it's not. And so one of the distinctions that I was using with her is that bringing in the experience of safety for our bodies, for our nervous systems, and then on top of that, comfort. It's so lovely. And then on top of that, ease. And then from there, it helps to be able to be still. So it's just funny that just this morning I was working with someone on this.
Yeah, about that in particular, helping the body recognize that it is safe. And with the media and with all of the changes happening, and today you can't go outside, and tomorrow, right, we don't know what's going to happen. And our perception is that is not safe. But in fact, your support for this client was that her body was indeed safe.
Yes.
So people watching, how would they embrace the concept in their physical body that they are safe? So for me, I drink tea. That's a very calming and safe thing for me to do. And it reinforces a calm nervous system. What other things can people do right in their living room?
Well, you and I both work with a lot of tools, both inside ourselves and outside of ourselves. And we can't go into all of those today.
That's true.
But I can say that doing the things that help reinforce for the body that things are okay, like exercise,
right?
Like conscious breathing, like the things that people talk about, meditation, whatever kind, taking care of the needs of the body, healthy eating, healthy sleep, healthy stopping and going, play,
right.
Sex, right? All these things tell the body, everything's okay, honey. Everything's okay, right? So that we can do that from the inside out, watching fun movies.
Right. So the truth is, there's not one single thing. And because of what's going on, we need to do multiple things and do them over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
So just drinking 1 cup of tea a day might not be enough to sustain the stillness that we're describing as possible. So given that people are now either not working or working from home and still having to play the game of life, right? We still have to eat food. We still have to take care of our children who are with us all the time. What is it in your mind that stillness will help with, right? So for me, stillness helps me communicate more clearly with my children and from a place of kindness. That's the pursuit of live by heart. And that was my original reason for practicing heart coherence, because I found myself getting really frustrated with my children, with the situations I was finding myself in. So, what do you think?
Well, I want to answer that, but I want to preface it by saying that we can have lots of body practices and lots of mind practices, but also soul practices that help give the place for us to rest, to be in stillness, that a lot of people don't talk about. But it's
No.
that stuff is there, and I find that having the foundation within me is the only place that can make any difference. Like if I put my safety out there on my job, let's say, or my comfort out there on my partner, or my ability to have ease on how much money I have in my bank account, I'm basically screwed.
Right? I'm so glad you said that, because, right, it's important for us to identify, and you mentioned this to me in a conversation earlier, that right now we're talking about the live by heart experience, but this is not the experience, right? It's just
Right.
like the saying, the Zen that you read about, the Zen that you think about is not the Zen.
Yes.
So you're making a really good point, right?
Yes.
The day-to-day living that we do is not necessarily the practice of stillness.
Right. We're talking about it, and you can't
Yeah.
talk about it, but it is to be found within, and that's the place to look. And then from there, I can take that stillness in sitting in meditation, or having some tea in front of the fire, or walking, or dealing with conflict in my family. That's the
Yeah.
possibility, to take that stillness to the world.
That's beautiful. And I just want to mention, working with you, I have found that it's more possible for me to go inward, right? It's now an option where years and years ago, before we started working together, I was a new mom with young children, and going in, right? What did that even mean? I knew I wanted peace. I wanted to be happy changing the 100th diaper today because somebody's not feeling well, but it was just so hard. And the truth is, going inward and finding the stillness that exists, not outside us, but inside us, is really the key.
Yes, I can't say that enough. Yes. And most time that we're going through it, there's all the challenges, and I have great compassion. And I see that we're all being called to rest. We're all being called to stillness. And a lot of us get to have less activity than we used to. And some of us don't. Some of us have children or jobs at home or whatever. But still, I would the most important thing I would encourage to take away from this conversation maybe is to allow ourselves to have stillness on the outside, sure, but on the inside, because that's what we need to make this transition that we're making, that I believe we're making.
You're absolutely right, because the live by heart experience is very difficult if you have a constant dialogue running in your head. And I'm glad we're discussing this, because it brings to mind a client who I had, who thought yoga was a good solution for her, but she couldn't stop the voices in her head. She thought
Yeah.
body work was a good solution for her, and she came, but the voices were incessant, and the voices were telling her lies, like she wasn't good enough, she wasn't anything enough. And right, how, if I just want to encourage everyone, if you're a person who has um, lots of thoughts and lots of thinking in your mind that doesn't stop, and the kinds of thoughts that tell you you're not good enough or you didn't do something right, I would encourage you to go to the heartcoherence.today website, and get some help. Wendy is brilliant at helping people transform. She's helped me transform. I also have a brilliance about helping people transform. And please, if you need help, please get help. Now is a great time for us to pause and thank our sponsors. We are Historically for being a part of our show. And please show our sponsors your support.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious brand apparel.
Thank you so much for joining us. Here we are back in the studio, and we're discussing stillness and how it's true that stillness is something that must be experienced. It's not something that happens because you're thinking about it. It's something you actually have to do, and you have to be it and embrace it. And with me is my co-host, Wendy. And one thing we didn't mention with regard to stillness is the difference between a meditation practice, and meditation practices are great, but the live by heart coherence practice is not meditation. It is actually getting to stillness. It's allowing yourself to be in stillness. And I would love to hear Wendy talk a little bit about your experience with stillness.
So before, like not very long ago, I sat and I said, what is the fruit of stillness for me? And I'm like, I need to be transparent. I'm like, I need 3 to 5 talking points, right? It's a short show. So give it to me, but I have that stillness available to me to just say, and like, truly, I just couldn't write fast enough. Right. And so like, that's how it is when we come to that place that we just can be receptive, then boing. It reminds me of like the ideas we get in the shower, right? Why do they come? Because we stop trying. We're actually showering while we're showering. And the creativity comes. So I'll say a few things that came to me. The first is that in stillness, the dust settles, because there's always dust, and there's always rugs being shook, and people are, there's always more dust. But in stillness, that dust can settle inside of us, and we can see the sun. And hope can bloom, because it's so easy to get, especially these days, but any days, it's so easy to be in despair. It's so easy to be overwhelmed or be in fear. But the sun shines, and we can let the sun shine and let the dust settle.
So is the dust, in your analogy, right? Are you saying like the dust is kicked up and the fear is kicked up, and that's what's preventing us from seeing the sun?
Well, there's just so much cacophony. I mean, it can be. And, there's this great distinction I'd like to make, if it's okay.
Yeah, please.
Between, like, there's fear, which is an emotion that it's for our best interest, right? In the moment. There's something to be afraid of, and I need to respond.
Right, there's a threat. There's something threatening our safety. That's an important distinction.
And then there's I need to be aware and take care, right? Which is not fear. It's I need to minimize my risk for myself and my family. I need to minimize the risk for my community. I need to make reasoned, rational choice about what I do, which is none of that is fear. And so, like, when we hear the media, to be able to distinguish, because there's the fear, or talk to my mom or whatever. There's the fear, and then there's I need to minimize risk. All of
Yeah.
life is risk. So it's just a matter of handling it according to my own best interest.
Yeah, beautiful distinctions, and I'd like to just point that out, right? That you're shifting and making an evaluation between the things that we read about in the media, right, and the emotions that they capture us with all of this information, right? Trying to get our emotions sucked in and carried away, really. And that in contrast to, oh, if you go to the grocery store, wash your hands, take your hand sanitizer, wear a mask. And
That's it.
And that's very neutral.
Yeah.
Right? That's not emotional. That's
right.
not, it doesn't cause people to struggle with factual information. But the other part, right, the fear inducing, that just, yeah, that's like somebody's shaking the whole world and you can't see the sun.
Right. And yeah. And then we can't live in hope, in beauty. And then everything gets crazy, but we can. When we let ourselves come to stillness, we realize, let me see the next thing. We open to new possibilities. Like all the old stuff comes down, all the voices and all the emotions and all the shoulds and all the being pulled by our thoughts and sexual impulses, all that, right? It can all settle down and we can be like, oh, look, all the possibilities around here now that I can see.
Yeah.
And we can start to resonate differently, because like this stillness it's a resonance, it's a harmony, it's a song in our heart.
Yes.
It's not our emotions. The emotions, like we were talking about fear. We're not trying to change that. If there's fear, we say hello to it and deal with it. We're not trying to say, go away, fear.
Right. We're not ignoring it. We're not
hello,
saying, oh,
fear.
it's not there, right? Because it is there.
It is there. So we say, oh, hello. You know what? I've got my mask on. Oh, good. Goodbye. Now I can resonate in silence, in stillness, in rest. And that's a whole different way of being for us and our family and our world. It changes things.
Yes.
The more of us that can be there, the less of us that are in crazy.
And that, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that is the live by heart today focus, right? It's being in stillness. And when you are in stillness, it does allow you to take the right action. So it quiets the loud voices that often are telling us things that aren't true anyway.
Yeah.
And it allows you to see new opportunity. Studies are even showing that it boosts your immunity. And who doesn't want a boosted immunity now, right? So many good things come from being in coherence and living by heart and living from the heart and seeing things hope, right? Seeing that there is hope. Oh, thanks. That was fabulous. What else should we talk about with regard to
I have
stillness?
more. Should I go more?
Yeah, please.
Because from here, then we can open. Like I can't open my heart when I don't feel safe. I don't, right? Or I'm not comfortable, or I think I have to be like a swan paddling under the water, right? Like I can't open my heart. I want to close my heart. And so from this place of stillness where the dust settles and I can open to new opportunities and see no one's getting me, etc., then my heart can be like, little turtle, okay, right? Like that's part of my job, to make that safe for the little turtle to come out. Never use that analogy, it's fun, right? The heart can open and then the world truly is different. Like I can start to be love and experience love, and everything I experience is through love, and everything they get is love. It totally changes things.
That was beautiful. It reminds me, right? You're describing the idea of opening my heart, right? And the little turtle coming out of its shell and actually looking around instead of being locked up in there. And it's not moving, right? It's not going anywhere. It's not eating. It's not drinking. It's not anything.
Yes.
It reminded me of when I was dating my husband, right? So I think everyone has had this experience where they were in love with, they were infatuated, right? It was new, it was beautiful. And I do remember my heart being so big and my heart thinking about this human being and just being completely obsessed, right? Over the moon, all the possibilities. There was nothing bad happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine living like you're in love all the time, right?
Yes.
Living like you're completely infatuated
Yes.
all the time.
Yes. Yes. That's the core of my being the love you want stuff. And it's a matter of accessing that vibration and being it. I mean, it's
Oh,
like that's what we do. And it shifts things because when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, right? Like when we're in that place, like whole world is different and everyone loves us and they love having us around, right? Because we're just like,
right.
and then,
You're absolutely right. And I have to say, the people that I've been in touch with, especially now during the coronavirus, right? The people in the grocery store, I'll go around the corner and everybody withdraws, right? Energetically, they're completely in fear mode. And I smile. I mean, I don't go right up to their face, right? I maintain my 6 feet of distance, but I smile and I maintain a relaxed state and they begin to relax, right?
yes,
And they begin to calm down. So I think you're absolutely right that when we are able to be it, it does have an impact on the world. When I walk through the grocery store and I think to myself, I'm here because I love my family, even though everybody else is wearing their masks, right? And I had to hand sanitize and take care of the card and, all of that craziness. I'm still holding an open heart. I'm still loving and in that state of perpetual uh, being in love, right? Perpetual infatuation. That's so
yes,
fun. And people begin to smile back. They begin to relax, and
yes,
that's fabulous.
yes. And I noticed like we're kind of in a togetherness, like, cause I'm coming from that place, right? So
Oh,
I'm
right.
right. I see all the closeness, but I also see like, it's like the kid in them, like, cause everything's different. And even so it's the same store, but everyone's different. And so
Yeah.
there's this possibility. And I'm just in such gratefulness for the workers and who are helping us and the carts and the checkout people, right? They're being loved. They're doing love.
Yes.
They're laying
And
down their lives for us.
that's true. Being grateful, being able to hold the feeling of gratitude is phenomenal. We haven't even talked about that, but holding gratitude is one of the results, is one of the outcomes of being able to live by heart and holding your heart in an open space. You mentioned the being in the grocery store, right? And being able to hold your own energy, right? Hold your own intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's really powerful because so many other people are constantly being pulled, right? They're being, what do I think? What do I do? The number of cases are increasing dramatically. Is it going to be me? And in that, we're being separated. We're
Yes.
being separated from each other, and we're told, wear your mask. Don't get within 6 feet of people. And that's pulling us apart. And your image of we're all in this together, oh, that was beautiful. We need to stay together. And I'm seeing it
Yes.
all over the internet,
Yes.
but I'm not feeling it, right?
Mm.
How are you feeling it? How do you feel being together in this?
Well, it's a state of being that is quite available to me now. Um, I've
Because
done
you're doing it.
some of this practice. Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. But also, in your presence, like you really help. Like whenever I show up with you, it's just so lovely. So being in your presence is helpful. And I have intention. Like I go for a walk and I intend, and I do a little meditation and I intend, and I wash the dishes and I intend that this is the place. And opening the heart is the practice, and we can experience it with each other, whether someone's here or not, and whether they're 6 feet away or whatever they're doing, or they're hundreds of miles away, or if they're if I'm making love, I can still have that experience of connection available to us. And so this is a great chance for us to practice that, I think.
You're right. I'm so glad you said practice, because I remember my husband talking with me about meditation, right? So here I am, a new little meditator, and I said, okay, what is meditation? And he had practiced the Buddhist style of meditation, right? And he said, well, you focus your thoughts. And first start with your breathing and count to 10, right? So I'm breathing, counting to 10, right? I'm 5, 6. Oh, I forgot to put dinner out. And I'd be like, whoa, right? So the truth is, when we practice stillness, right, it is something we have to practice, because I'm hearing you say you live in stillness, right? I feel I'm also living in stillness. My heart is open. And we've practiced it. And every time we got out of stillness, right, we recognized it, but we didn't assign a meaning to it. We didn't say, oh, you're bad. That's bad. I'm thinking about dinner. Oh, right. And you taught me this. Just make a note. If I'm sitting in my meditation or whatever I'm doing, and I'm, 1, breathe in, 2, breathe out, dinner. You taught me this. Oh, just write down dinner and then come back to your practice. And when you're done, look at your notes and then write, oh, go do your dinner thing, right? That was so brilliant. So let's encourage everyone in practicing stillness, right? Do the best you can. Drink your tea, whatever it is for you. I've been going on walks with my dog. That's practicing stillness with me, even though I've got a lot of information, even though, right, I've got to manage the dogs around this, and whoop, now they're wrapped around the pole, right? I'm still practicing stillness. So let's encourage everyone to practice the stillness for themselves. And last thing, if you have a stillness practice you'd like to share with us, if you have comments, if you have information, if you have ideas for what you'd like to hear us cover in these shows, we want to hear from you. So drop it in the comments below. You can go to the livebyhearttoday.com website and tell us what's on your heart. If you'd like more information on how to work with Wendy and get your own personal transformation, you can drop us a line on livebyhearttoday.com site. If you'd like information about working with me and living by heart every moment and getting that practice, please let us know. Drop us a line. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. And until next week's show, I encourage you to move your body, know your mind, and awaken your heart.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart Today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you, We Are Storically, for making this show possible.